Scary dairy. Ooh. I know you're thinking to yourself, oh no, dude, what are you going to tell us about dairy? Am I going to have to stop eating my chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream? And the answer to that question is yes. I'm going to be honest. I don't think you're going to like this video because you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. Let me ask you something. Who loves a big cold glass of milk? Of almond milk, I mean. So, dairy. Might as well just change the channel right now. Seriously. Just change it. Just change it. Don't even listen. Before I went vegan, I had dairy literally at every single meal. In the morning, milk with my cereal. Lunch, I always had cheese. Then for dinner, it was always cheese. And then I'd have whey protein after working out with milk. Milk, it does a body good. Everybody in America pretty much grows up on milk. It's in the schools. Until I was 36 years old, never thought about it, never really questioned it or anything else. It was milk. Milk's good for you, right? Milk's good for your teeth, and milk's good for your bones, and it's good for growing and all this stuff. Is what you grew up learning and being told and hearing all the time. Well, the dairy industry is huge. They have so much money and so much promotion. They have it everywhere. It wasn't until more recently that I actually stopped and thought about it for a minute. When we're eating animal products, we just see the end result. We see a piece of meat packaged. We don't really think about where it started or where it came from. Cheese, it's just wrapped up and all ready to go. You just slice it and you eat it. Or milk, it's in a container and you just pour it and you drink it and you don't think anything of it. It's just there. Here's a bunch of stuff with milk. By law, milk is allowed to have a certain amount of pus in it. Pus. And so there's pus in milk. There is an allowed amount of pus in milk. That's just standard practice. Other things with milk too that we'll talk about. Let's just knock them out right now. People are going to say, well, you have milk for the calcium. Okay, milk does have calcium in it. That's true. But there are a lot of other foods that have calcium also. And a lot of other foods and stuff that if you're eating, they're adding calcium into it anyways. We also have an extremely high rate of osteoporosis in the country. So how is that? If we're drinking so much milk and calcium and our bones are getting brittle when we get older. Well, milk, the milk and animal-based protein creates an acidic environment in your body. And so what happens is your body needs to adjust your pH balance, and what it does is it takes calcium that's stored in your bones, it takes the calcium and strips that out to balance you out. So the more we're drinking, the more we're creating a bad environment in our body. How many of you have also heard of lactose intolerance? Lactose, which is milk sugar. Lactose intolerance is basically the inability to digest lactose. We've created lactose-free milk, lactose-free items, and we've made capsules to take so you can have lactose or dairy products. So think about that for a second. Your body is basically telling you, like, hey, we can't digest this. This is not good for us. For whatever reason, we think we're all supposed to drink milk. And so we made these pills so we could have that, so we can tolerate lactose. That's kind of a red flag right there. Another thing is a lot of people have an allergy to dairy. When I say allergy, it doesn't have to be an anaphylactic, throat closing allergy. Let's think about this too. There is no other animal on the planet that continues to drink milk after they're done weaning at a young age. No other animal does that. And for humans, women that are breastfeeding, they'll breastfeed for a few months, maybe a year, year and a half, I guess, tops, and then they're done. We're the only animal or the only species, okay, that stops drinking our own species milk, and then we switch to another species milk. So if you saw some guy down the street and he was laying underneath a cow, sucking on a cow's nipple, you'd probably say, hey, that's bestiality. This guy should get locked up. Doesn't seem right, does it? Dairy, you can get a lot of inflammation and joint pain. Once I got off the dairy and once I went vegan, I lost a lot of joint pain. I had inflammation. I ended up taking a blood allergy test, and I'll show you guys my blood allergy test. I was extremely allergic to dairy. I didn't have diarrhea and I didn't have anaphylactic shock, but it was still affecting my body. I just had this kind of puffy look all over. I never knew anything different because that's just how I thought that I looked. I wasn't fat or anything, but now looking at myself, I see, hey, I was just kind of puffy all over. And when I was having meat and dairy, I was eating literally half of the calories that I do now, yet I looked bigger and puffier and fatter. A cow's milk is specifically designed for a calf, for a baby cow to grow large and fast. There's natural growth hormones in milk. Even if you're buying organic, you're taking in the growth hormones from another animal into your own body. If you look up stuff on casein, which is a protein in milk, there are a lot of studies that show there are a lot of potential dangers and possible cancer associated with casein. Dairy products are addicting. When it breaks down into your system, it has addictive qualities. So let me ask you this. If you had to give up chicken, fish, pork, meat, or dairy, okay? And I mean dairy, I mean milk, cheese, ice cream, sour cream, everything. Out of those different things, I bet you if you ask 10 people, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 people would say they would give up something else, but they don't want to give up the dairy. Why? Because it's addicting. Think about it. Cheese is like concentrated milk. That's probably the most addicting. I loved cheese too, and I loved dairy, and I loved ice cream, and now that I'm not having it, I feel a million times better. And so there's no way I would ever have it again. I look better and I feel better. Way better. That's some of the health stuff for you. Depending on if you care or you don't care, you say, well, okay, look, I'm going to stop drinking milk for my health, or you say, I'm going to stop drinking milk for the planet and the cows or the animals. Basically, a cow is constantly being impregnated to constantly have milk. If you're a guy, you probably can't even imagine breastfeeding, let alone breastfeeding for 5 or 6 years. And if you're a woman and you're a mother, you could probably understand this a little bit better of breastfeeding for 5 or 6 years. And I say 5 or 6 years because after 5 or 6 years, they kill the cow for meat or it's just done. Imagine being artificially inseminated or impregnated for years and years. In addition to that, the calf being stripped and pulled away from their mother and the milk going to you instead of the baby cow. I'll show you the blood allergy test for the dairy. This is a standard food panel for IgG and IgE. And so you can see the gray line is for IgG, the black line is for IgE. Those are antibodies in your blood. So obviously, like if you could see, a lot of the fruits here, they're in the green in that 0 range. Here's the reaction class. 0 is no reaction all the way up to extremely high. So take a look at the dairy here, how high that is for both antibodies. Casein, cheddar cheese, this is all for all the dairy here. So as you can see, my dairy allergy was high and my antibodies were fighting it. So basically what was happening is I'm taking in this dairy, so your immune system is constantly working. A lot of people have an intolerance or an allergy to dairy. Some people don't, but still you're going to probably get joint pain, inflammation, just kind of sometimes that puffiness and that puffy look. Milk is going to have cholesterol and it's going to have saturated fat. And some of the biggest killers in the United States are heart disease, coronary problems, cancer. What we've been doing for years and years and years is not working, and it's not working as a society because we have the same problems, so something needs to change. Whether you care about your health or the planet or the animals, all three of those it's best for you to get off dairy. Remember that there are always alternatives. You can get almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk, hemp milk. You can buy all kinds of different ice cream or make your own. You can get fake cheese. Just because you're getting off dairy doesn't mean you're not going to be able to enjoy a lot of the same things. They make a ton of options nowadays. You'll find that in time a lot of these cravings for dairy will go away. You just have to give it time, and you're doing it for the health of yourself and your family and your friends and the planet and the animals. I told you it's not always going to be easy finding out information. Sometimes it's kind of a bummer, especially when you're so used to eating a certain way. Learn some new recipes, you relearn how to cook with different ingredients, and you get to try different foods. It will get easier, and you will find alternatives, and you will lose the cravings. Any questions? Let me know, and thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.